ดีครับขออนุญาตต้อนรับนะครับเข้าสู่ National Director Conference อีกครั้งนะครับวันนี้เนี่ยเราจะมาพูดถึงหัวข้อที่สำคัญมากๆเลยนะครับเป็นเรื่องที่จับต้องยากแต่มันอยู่ในทุกอนูของการทำงานนะครับแต่ว่าวันนี้เนี่ยด้วยความที่ว่าผมมีคุณลิงก์เข้ามานะครับซึ่งเราก็เลยตกลงกันก่อนว่าถ้าอย่างนั้นเราจะพูดเป็นภาษาอังกฤษนะครับขออนุญาตเปลี่ยนเป็นภาษาอังกฤษก็แล้วกันนะครับ Hi ladies and gentlemen, so today we will be talking about purpose and vision, leading purpose and vision in crisis, and it's our great pleasure to have Dr. Link, Dr. Harald Link, the chairman of B.Grimm Power, to be with us. And สวัสดีครับคุณลิงครับ
สวัสดีครับ
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you very much. I hope you too.
Yes.
Happy and fit.
Yes, apart from working from home, which seems to be a new normal, yes, we are all doing great. Thank you. So today we are going to be talking about things that I know personally that is close to your heart and also close to your business. And also the topic about purpose has been mentioned a lot lately in the past 5 years. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, what is that? So before we talk about corporate purpose in deep dive and the role of board of directors with that, I would like to ask you, if someone asks you what is corporate purpose and what is corporate vision, are they different? Are they the same? How are they related? How would you explain to them?
Well, I think the corporate purpose is why do we exist? Why are we here? And the vision is what do we want to achieve in the long term? So vision must be something that is really difficult to get to and something which is a really high stretched target. And then, in our definition, the mission is the strategies to achieve the vision or the way to get there. And then so that we can easily and put into goals and strategies that are more concrete. And I think the mankind, everybody wants to know why are we here? And then if you know why you're doing what you're doing, which is maybe a little bit beyond the mundane, and then I think we can get up in the morning and know that we have something to look forward to achieve, to do, to work on.
But sometimes we, even myself, I couldn't figure out why why I had to go to work many years ago. Right now, I kind of figure it out. And it took some crisis in order to kind of for someone or the organization to revisit that why. It could be health crisis. It could be, someone that you love passed away, or it could be career crisis. And we are talking about leading purpose and vision in crisis. So maybe how would you link purpose and vision with crisis?
So purpose is something larger than crisis. So that's the reason why we're here. And in our lifetime, we have to overcome many crises. What you find out and what you see all over the world is we are kind of crisis oriented. And from what I understand from the psychiatrist who's of mindfulness in organization seminars, he said that our main thoughts default thoughts are more negative than positive. So if somebody did something good for you 10 times and bad for you 1 time, the thing you tend to remember more is the bad part. no matter how well we are, and no matter how great our life is, people always seem to have one problem or the other. And so happiness actually comes from inside. And so purpose gives us a task to increase happiness, because then we know why we're doing what we are doing, and then we feel fulfilled, and that is part of happiness.
Let me link what you said to the backdrop of COVID right now. Okay. And many organizations had to choose, between cost cutting and how to maintain and retain good workforce, effective workforce. On one hand, you have to cut the fixed cost. On the other hand, you have to care for your workforce or employee. So this kind of thing is just an example of the crisis, and you have to understand who you are as a corporate. And maybe we can use B.Grimm as an example, and hopefully you didn't have to go through that severe crisis like some hospitality or restaurants business. So can you elaborate a little bit on corporate purpose, corporate vision of B.Grimm, maybe the whole group, and then what is it that you use to get through this crisis?
So we came up with the formulation of the purpose, and the purpose is maybe doesn't sound so business-like, but it is. Its purpose is to do business with compassion. So now the big question is, what does it really mean to do business with compassion? Why do you choose the purpose of doing something rather than what you do? Why you choose how you do it rather than what you do? Compassion for us, we define as being compassionate to others who are in need and who we can help and who we are close to, and maybe also not so close to. Use really loving kindness in the way we deal with each other, and also especially with people outside, not especially, but also with people outside, not only with ourselves. But what we want to make sure is we don't want our neighbor sitting next to us in the room to be our biggest competitor. We want him to be our best friend. Then the other is this sympathetic joy, mudita in Pali or Sanskrit. Sympathetic joy is something so highly important in our lives and in our company. So we all, from birth, we somehow imbued with a little bit of jealousy. This comes, I think, from the survival instinct. And you want to be fed, you want to be safe, and so on. So from the survival instinct, you want to be first. So then usually the world, especially in business, is measured in competitiveness. So are you bigger? Are you better? Are you stronger? Did you win? So on. But actually, human beings, we don't especially nowadays where there's abundance in the countries we live or in the situations we are in. We should help each other, support each other. Like in a great sports team, you often see that the teams with the best teamwork have more goals than the ones who have certain stars. So we like people to be happy about others' successes. And then the way we also explain it is that if you are happy about your colleague's success to get the position you have, first of all, it's great for your inside, because then you don't eat yourself up and you are not susceptible to viruses like COVID because your immune system goes down.
Actually, you have mentioned quite a few words which I'm not sure if the audience are familiar with. So you mentioned mudita, right? So which is the third stepping stone to of Promvihansi. I'm not sure how that could be translated into.
Well, it's sympathetic, we've translated as sympathetic joy. So
Okay.
your colleagues get the job you wanted. If
Okay.
you can go to your colleague and try to feel happy for him, say, well, wonderful for you to get it. Actually, I wanted to sit there.
Okay.
In any case, whatever you need my help, I'm happy to support you. And this is a virtuous cycle because he was so worried that we would be so upset that we didn't get it, that
Okay.
he will go out of his way to, or she to help us as well.
Okay.
So this is the compassion, loving kindness, sympathetic joy. And then the fourth one is this equanimity, to be, which is especially good in crisis, to be, have an even mind, to have a calm mind and do what is right to do and necessary to do with a calm mind.
Okay. Many thanks. So, what you're using as a purpose, sometimes we say that purpose is beyond us, right? But I tend to look at it from the numbers point of view. Maybe I graduated as an engineer. And even I can explain that partnership or ESG would lead to better performance in a longer run. Even that is not the angle that you would like to kind of portray, but I can see that.
Yes, actually, this is what I was always wondering why in nearly all our products or all businesses, why are we among the leaders in the market? Because we are always taught that you can't be, or you shouldn't be compassionate in doing business. We have to go after results as much as possible. So I think that if maybe if people feel fine in a company, then and they are very competent, what we do is we set very, very high targets. So our visions are always lofty and our targets are always high. So we don't try to be something incremental, but we try to come up with new ideas, finding spirit, and we try to set really high targets and goals and try to have people who are inspired by what they do. So if you come to vision at B.Grimm Power is to empower the world compassionately. So empower has two really important meanings. One is to do with electricity, of course, which is our business. And the other is to make people stronger and better. And that also for the communities. And the word means we have to be outside Thailand as well. It's in a big way. So I, in the last year, I talk about that a lot because this vision was established and created by ourselves, by our people. It was not the if you call it the slogan, the line came from the people who run our power plants. So we had so many different tables. One was the then president and our daughter and myself and some other management, and another table, top management, and then we have one with the power plant people. So, and the power plant people, they came up with the best idea. And it was so good that we all stunned and thought, yeah, that is it. This is exactly what we want to do.
What does the board of directors, how do they approach purpose? I mean, I can imagine all the board meetings, not B.Grimm, but a typical one. They rarely talk about purpose. They just talk about numbers. And they talk about strategy. They talk about risk. They talk about competitor. They talk about disruption. But purpose, how do you embrace purpose into the boardroom discussion?
Actually, it's through our vision. So our vision and our purpose are very closely aligned. Yeah. So the purpose is to do business with compassion, and the business is to empower the world compassionately. So the purpose is part of is incorporated in the vision.
Okay.
If we want to empower the world compassionately, it means we do it in a compassionate way. So this is the purpose. And so we have to talk about how we're going to do that. How do we get the right mindset of the people? How do we do that? So by by having mindfulness in organization in every company and enabling everybody to do that, then that helps you to be more compassionate, because we also go into how do you do mindfulness in meeting, how do you mean mindfulness in your work. And every board meeting we start with 5 minutes of meditation and mindfulness.
Okay.
So we come already into that spirit.
Can you help me and the audience understand more about the vision? Okay, we can, for example, vision of B.Grimm power.
Yes.
Okay, so you saying that the vision is what the board is focusing on, and that vision and purpose are closely aligned. So yes. What is the vision of B.Grimm power, and how does it link to purpose, and how does that vision help the board govern the management effectively?
So our vision is to empower the world compassionately. So empower has two parts. One is the social aspect, and one is the work aspect. So the work aspect is to deliver electricity. The societal impact, the social impact, is to make people be their very best and put them in good positions and make the societies around us a better place to live in. World means that we have to really go out to the world. So now we're working on the projects in 5 countries, and we will probably by the end of the year might be already 10. And we're working on projects in 2 different additional continents. So we are on the way to go worldwide. And compassionately, it's the way we do. So our values have to be lived, and in all our KPIs and our evaluation, we always have the part: are you living positivity? Are you living professionalism? Are you living partnership? Are you living binary spirit? And of course, we have the overarching targets of a company, which are one is present oriented, the other future oriented. So the present oriented is the one, of course, how we can organize our power plants for highest efficiency and availability, which leads into profitability. So that is one. And the other is future. How many new projects do we get in order to secure the happiness in the future? And then we have the behavior part. And now this year we also put in the digital transformation targets for every individual. So every individual has their own digital transformation targets. So that's also future oriented. And so these values are closely linked to our purpose and our vision. And they are supposed to be who we are. So we just do what we think we want to do. And then, but the word is this vision of the world. This is a very high, well, this is a moonshot, because coming from 2 countries to the world, I mean, that is kind of a journey, a long journey. And then, so we like to do it in that way. So compassion, do it compassionately, is linked to the purpose. And
Okay.
our high goals, they are guiding our board meetings to achieve these high goals in a proper way. So indeed, we talk a lot about governance. We talk a lot about, we have a good audit team. We finished our long-term strategy for one part at the beginning of the year, and our digital part we do now. So the board is very involved in parts as well. So I'm the chairman of the board, so the board has to be involved.
So it seems like because the vision, which is you said empower the world compassionately. I like that. It's like there is a shift of the board discussion from form to substance more. For from number into impact.
Yes.
From into how efficiency or the new project are achieved more than what number it is achieved.
Well, in the board meeting, we have both. So, because as a board, you are the representatives of the shareholders. So you wanted to go to communities and also to your shareholders. So the figures are always there. So we update the board regularly about our targets and how close we are and what is the gap to, if any, to achieve the target.
Mm-hmm.
And our business is quite long-term oriented. So what the projects or the sales we haven't got in by the beginning of the year, you won't see the revenue. So you need to come from mergers and acquisition, yes, and then it comes from good cost management. But what we're doing after the beginning of the year is work for the following years.
Yeah, and also if I get it right, the mindset of impact oriented more than number oriented get the business to look at things in a longer term, not year on year.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's true. So from where a few years ago, personally, I concentrated my mind on B.Grimm 150. Now we have 3 lovely grandchildren. So we're now more looking at B.Grimm 200. So,
and 250.
No, 200. From
And
150,
250.
yes. 250. Well, that is our grandchildren have to think about that.
Well, it's your daughter who raised a great question about who we are, what we stand for. Yes. So I have no doubt. So how does the board appraise, assess the performance of the management, given that you use the vision, which is to empower the world compassionately? So how can that be cascaded down to the way you remunerate the management, the way you the succession plan of the CEO, the culture of the organization? And I believe that those has to go hand in hand with the purpose.
Yes. So we would like the purpose or the inspiration and the strength of anybody who comes to work for us be in line with who we think we are and who we want to be. So we in many of the interviews I have, people refer to that part. They like this part about B.Grimm and they think they feel attracted to part of doing business with compassion, and then we have a very strong social engagement since 143 years. For our management, same as everybody, have these targets for the current, for the future, for the behavior, and for their willingness and ability to embrace the digital transformation. So I very much like a book that is called Positive Leadership. So in that one, it's more than twice a year sit together about performance. It is a kind of regular, daily, weekly, monthly. So you have to talk about values and vision all the time. And this has to be the constant topic. And the evaluation and the positive or negative feedback has to be also continuously. And then the talks from time to time, they can then focus more on development. So how can you become the best you can be? And what do you think you are lacking? What you want yourself to change, to improve or learn more? and then what does the manager would like you to look at. And so this can become really positive talks in which everybody wins and everybody comes out with a positive feeling and an agreement. So this is the spirit in which we like to have that. And this is also the same spirit in which we as the board members talk to the management. And I think this is how we like to keep it. Important is really to have very lofty goals. I think if you only have the mantra of doing business with compassion and you have very low goals, then I think it would create the opportunity for people to relax and just be happy.
Yeah.
But we still have to feed our families, and money doesn't come by easily. So we have to strive. So I think it has to go together. And so we like to be together with energized people who are energized by our vision, by our mission, by our purpose, and by our goals, and want to achieve them and are happy to help each other to achieve them. So we need this really great team spirit in the company. And what is really, really important at B.Grimm Power and also in other B.Grimm companies, that we are really cross-functional cooperative. We have a clear organization structure, but we also have kind of explanatory roles or pictures so that people know how they are asked to cooperate. So we have mostly people are active with many different organizations inside the company because of the nature of our business. And so we really, really need a very cooperative environment to excel in what we do. And so by chance, these two things come together very well.
Okay, so it sounds to me like with that philosophy, that vision, and the way the company remunerate the executive and probably throughout the organization is not about what you achieve, but how you achieve it, which is about that behavior. And which means that when you are serious about behavior, you don't say, oh, it's July, so it's time to talk again about the development plan or about the numbers, but it's more on the regular basis because it's more about coaching and mentoring. It's about stewardship of those behavior on purpose and make sure that everyone is in line. If everyone is in line, so there is less ordering and more of the self-judgment that in line with with you.
Yes. And I just have to emphasize, we're about both, yeah, behavior and achievement. So,
yeah, sure, and achievement. Curiously, how do you select your board? Because it sounds like because that is the most important group of the organization. So it has to take the board member to believe in this, which is, I would say that not many companies in Thailand are talking about purpose compassionately or passionately like you do. So how did you select your board?
So I was fortunate that I have been a member of many boards in the past. So I've noticed and watched how they were run and how they were composed. So I used that knowledge and that experience and try to find a board that really answers all the questions that the board should be able to address. And I think we have a really fabulous board. I mean, from my side, I'm very happy about the competence and the cooperation in the board. So we have the gentleman, Dr. Anderson. He used to run a big refinery. He was one of the first in the renewable power. We have Anjali. He used to be chairman of IGAT, used to work from the beginning to the end with the Industrial State Authority of Thailand, has a lot of knowledge in what we do. We have a good friend who has a great water company, understands us really well. We have another professional who is really good in auditing and finance, but also has a great business background. We have one of the best people two of the best people in both in management and in human resources capabilities. We have one of the closest friends we have as a very, very senior banker who has been guiding myself for many decades now, for more than 4 decades. And then we have some family members also in the board. So I think our board is super competent. And then we have 3 advisors who used to be at the top in their profession. So one used to be the head of the armed forces, one used to be the chairman of the Supreme Court, one used to be the highest bureaucrat and was in charge of the personnel development in the government. So I think this is, I'm very grateful that they are with us because they bring so much knowledge to the board. And then I try to talk the least during a board meeting. So I can listen to them.
Well,
with good conclusions.
Let me go to another question, which is about this topic of today, which is purpose and vision in crisis. So I don't mean just crisis of virus. And in the past, there has been so many crises. It could be political crisis. It could be disruption crisis. Could you give the example of, with the purpose, with a strong purpose, with a strong vision, it helped B.Grimm understand what you would do and what you would not do?
Well, since we want to empower the world compassionately, we have to see that whatever we do is in line with that. And if we have to make a difficult decision, let's say, if people oriented, we have expanded, so we haven't shrunk. But sometimes maybe you have to separate from people because they don't fit into the culture. Then you have to still see in a compassionate way that they're treated well and that it is done in a friendly way. And we actually, it's more about if somebody doesn't fit into the culture. If it is performance related, actually, we're not really you don't perform and now you're out, but we look at it for a long time before we say that and try to find a lot of way to improve and give people lots of chances. So we have to try to be really compassionate, but I think what is more important is not on an individual basis, but on the company-wide basis. How are you relating with each other and how are you relating to the outside? And there, I think the many partnerships we have, I think they are a testament to people like to be related to the way we do things. And I think what is really important, what we also found out in the 𝐍𝐚𝐭𝐢𝐨 crisis, 1997 and 98. So those we are partnering with at that time, they were all going out to help us. So these were all the foreign partners and also the local partners. Everybody was there to help. And everybody in the company was there to help. It's quite interesting, I find, in a crisis in Thailand that everybody comes together to support. So in no crisis did anybody ever said, I had enough, I leave. But if they had this intention to leave, they said, not yet. I hang around and I help. So I think the Thai people are wonderful in a crisis. They really support the organization. So, and maybe it's just how you, and maybe that's an echo of how we work, or how my uncle and my father used to work, how my grandfather used to work. I think I just took over and tried to keep what they had. It's kind of, as you said before, stewardship, to pass on the firm in a better position as it was, and to cherish what we had, and to keep the culture going, and their social engagement, and be kind of a prolongation of what they have done in the past, to thus bringing in some new aspects.
Okay, yeah. So the earlier part of your talk was even how to let people go compassionately, and it as I heard you, it took some time, and you had to kind of engage them and get to understand how this organization work and the culture of this organization, and if their behavior are different from your expectation. Is that right?
Yes. So if somebody really works contrary to our culture, then they might be very competent, but they may be then better competent somewhere else, because I'm sure their organization that might fit their mindset. But for us, especially as I said, it's so difficult to really be compassionate all around all the time. So we need to have people who want to live it. I mean, there must be the desire to live that. So if that desire is missing, then that's not good for the company.
Let's talk about, okay, so we mentioned that crisis, in terms of crisis, yes, you can also exercise compassion in crisis, because actually you do it not because of the personal motivation, but it's about the way you stewardship the organization and the culture in the way the purpose is leading you, right?
Yes. Maybe may I add to that part? We have many different companies and many different organizations. So of course, during this part of the crisis, many maybe were not needed, like now. And so we try to not only two things. One is to keep everybody, and we did expand quite a bit. So instead of shrinking ourselves into crisis, we try to expand out of the crisis, and so get everybody engaged. It's more hard work and it's more tiring, but this way is more engaging for everybody. So they see that, okay, we try to do that. Anyway, everybody is suffering in the moment, either of fear or because their friends are out of job, or their family or so. So we have to try to have this positive outlook and get more business and hire more people.
I look forward to your celebration 200 years.
You are cordially invited.
Thank you very much. But we just make sure that we get through this COVID situation. But anyway, at that time, the world changed. You know, technology, new lifestyle. The generation X will be gone, Y will be almost retired, and Z will be like maybe 40 at the time, or 50 at the time. And how would you see how you can retain your purpose, given that the world is changing, and you know, the new the younger people, they are not attached to things and organization. They just want to do things on their own, and they get bored easily, and you know, lots of them are into gadget and quick solutions. How would you use your purpose to cope with that?
As people say, love is a universal language. I think everybody likes to be together with people who are positive and friendly with them, and so this kindness is, I think, very important. And I think this is universal and will never die. So that's one part of it. And then competent people always like to have a challenge and like to work together with like-minded people of different types. So we try to create atmosphere like that and give opportunity like that. And we have a lot of challenging things to do. Just one simple example is we always bought gas through the pipeline. It was very simple for us. And now we ask for a shipper's license, so to import a natural gas by ourselves. That is, and be in the gas business, something completely new. So everybody very excited. And then we have a digital transformation group. So we just, while looking for somebody to head the digital transformation specially, we don't wait. So we put a former engineering professor who's working with us, a young lady, in charge of putting together a group of people to work on different digital transformation projects, which are not already part of the organization. Like we do a lot of things in our power plants and in our finance and accounting plants. And so she got 12 people, and then we asked her to make a presentation to our town hall meeting. And she presented with everybody, all the 12 presented, and then asked other people to join. And within a few days, there were 58. So I think we can keep people engaged and keep them going. And I think we always have to remember this. It's just a new world. It's a digital disruption. But we have been in a disruptive world for, I don't know, forever. It's just now that the time has sped up. But we have also sped up. So our mindset is always going along with the time. So in the can you imagine what happened for somebody born in 1900 and died in 1980? What kind of life did they have? World wars and famine and depression and oil shock and I don't know what kind of AIDS suddenly coming up. I mean, how scary was that be? Yeah. So I think COVID is really, really minor compared to these other disruptions that happened before. And this digital disruption actually is something positive. And I think maybe some people find the word so cool, disruption. But disruption is actually not a very friendly word. So actually, we'd rather look at how to improve society by using digital means and methods, rather than to disrupt somebody else's business so that he dies and we live. So I think we like to look at this digital transformation in a way that it enables us to work better, work more, have more opportunities, and bring more benefit to society. I think that's the way. And I think I find that many people find that engaging and they still stay, and then maybe one or the other want to leave. But in principle, they like to be here so far.
Okay. And it sounds to me like they like to be here by choice.
Yeah, I hope so.
Mr. Ling, last question. How would the board assess the success of their own performance, given that the purpose and the vision is, about this compassion? So how do you, as a chairman, have a conversation with the board on how are we doing with our performance?
Well, we didn't. So I didn't have that conversation. I think it's a very good point. So maybe I should bring that up and say, let's make that a 2 or 3 hour discussion. Is how do we actually live our purpose? How does the board see it? How is the board engaged and involved? And what they would like to see more, what they want to understand better, and how they can contribute more. So one nice example of their engagement in this subject is that one of our board members, when we made these proposals to the Prime Minister of what one can do during this crisis, came to me and said, we have since this year is 50 years, and that was 49 years, we have a border police school in 𝐍𝐚𝐭𝐢𝐨𝐧𝐚𝐥 called B.Grimm School, was done for Her Royal Highness Princess Mother. And so the village is also called B.Grimm, and the temple next door is also called B.Grimm. So she suggested that we should, she suggested that we make this a Bawon project. บ้าน วัด โรงเรียน and so improve the society there a lot. And so now we have many projects going on there, and we try to make it a model area and enable young people to be able to stay there and don't have to go to Bangkok to work, but can have a life there, have the farmers have the best possible livelihood, have access to everything that they need. And so we have been supporting this area since the last 50 years, but we now go out and make it a more concise, wider-ranging project to make a model society there. In not telling them what to do, but asking them what they would like us to do. And increase and really empower them. So our emphasis is both on empowering them the way they like us to empower them, and then of course to create some more facilities and to improve the school into becoming a model school. So that is one part how the board themselves feel engaged in it and are very, very keen to take part in it.
So, I think what you're trying to say is that maybe the way to measure or to talk to the board and get them to discuss about how we are doing in terms of our purpose is tone from the top. Is tone from the top, how they convert their belief into their action, because you can't just believe and don't act, and that action will lead to the transformation of the organization all the time, not through digital wave only.
Yeah, right.
Let me ask you, if you still have a little bit of time, how do you, as one of your company is listed, which is B.Grimm Power, right?
Yeah.
How does your purpose, which is very subjective, still embed and remain strong with the listed company, where you have to bigger audience, investors, small shareholders? Is it like more challenging to stay with your purpose when you have to convince a larger group of people?
Actually, what I said during the time we talked is mainly concentrated on B.Grimm Power, because
okay.
companies. So it is more, we have to look more at the results, at the financial results as a listed company. For the other companies, they can be more open or lenient, or can be more thinking as an owner what we want to do, when as a sole owner what we do, or with our joint venture partner. But when it comes to the listed company, we have to be more diligent in making sure that the financial results are such that the investors like it, because they have their obligations towards their constituencies. So we want to be good to them. Whilst in the other B.Grimm companies, we can just look at our customers, and then as long as our results are kind of satisfactory, then we just emphasize on that. And then we don't look so much at the financial results, but we also look at that because, very simply, I think in business, the figures also show your proficiency. And so we have to find a way how we can deliver what our customers like, the solutions they need, in a way that we can also live well of it and that we can expand. Because the people in our company, of course, they want to have the possibility to grow. And then otherwise, there happens what you said, then how do you keep them? So possibility to grow, of course, is very important. Only in the non-listed companies, we are kind of freer in what we do when and how. But in the listed company, we have this board, which is, of course, also very much engaged in ensuring that we reach the targets that our constituencies want. And we have a very competent investor relation team, and I meet regularly with all the investors. I meet regularly with banks and other stakeholders who want to know how we're doing, or with people who may want to invest but not yet, and so on. So they have to feel sure that what we are doing will look after their interests too. Yeah, so that we have to always manage, is always on the top of our mind, that we look well after all our constituencies.
Which is back to fiduciary duty, and that duty of care, duty of disclosure, loyalty, those or obedience are done through compassion.
Yes.
Yes. So I would like to summarize what we learned from you today, and we have learned a lot of profound wisdom beyond numbers. We learned that purpose is the why we exist.
Yes.
While vision is more like a how, but the what is the performance. Outside looking at in your company might see the what, but your what has been derived by those why for so many years and many years to go. Mm-hmm. And those why is about compassion. Okay. Those why has transformed into the how, which is collaboration more than competition. Mm-hmm. Partnership will lead to better performance for the partnership. It's a win-win. Mm-hmm. Okay, and leads into operational efficiency, as you mentioned about 𝐍𝐚𝐭𝐢𝐨 and B.Grimm. Mm-hmm. It leads into innovation and better solution, because the people from your shop floor who understand the stakeholders can come up with the solution that is different from what you told them. Mm-hmm. It's about compassion leads into ESG, mm-hmm. Not by form, but by nature. Mm-hmm. I heard that you target high, but your feet stand on the ground and your eye set to the sky. But everything cannot be achieved if you are not compassionate, because compassionate generate new passion and energy in order to do that. Stewardship is probably the key word here. People don't appraise their employee, but they bring the stewardship into the others lower and lower, or I wouldn't say lower, but spread it out through stewardship and make sure that everyone is accountable for that stewardship, the purpose. From what I heard from you, even purpose or vision can be transformed into better mutual performance. I still insist on that because at the end of the day, people see what you achieve, not only, but they might not understand how you achieve it or why do you have to achieve it. And the last thing that I learned from you is that people, stakeholders might be interested in joining you because what you do, but they will go with you with your journey because who you are and how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my summary.
Thank you.
So anything for you to add before we end this? Anything you want to leave for the audience, since the topic is on the leadership from the boardroom in order to govern purpose and vision through the crisis?
Yes. I think it is a myth and it's not correct that businesses are there to maximize profit. And I'm very glad to see now that it becomes en vogue to look at it that way. And I think we have to see that businesses are comprised of more than, millions of businesses. The person who's selling us noodles on the street, he's not governed by maximizing a profit, but he wants to make really nice soup for you and then make a living out of it. So I think if we look at it from a normal everyday life, then doing business with compassion is something that is natural to people. And I'm sure that it will lead to happy life for people involved. And especially if you practice mindfulness. And I think the results naturally will be fine. You just have to set the high targets and follow up on it and give good people, give the opportunity to excel, but be nice. I mean, that's what I think, what's really important, try to be nice.
Okay. So business is not about making profit. It's about sustaining everyone in the ecosystem, the same ecosystem. Right. With that, I would like to thank Dr. Harald Link for sharing the wisdom with us on governing purpose and vision through the crisis. And we hope to be able to talk to you soon. And yes, I look forward to your celebration of 200 years.
Yes, you're most welcome. I hope I see you in this form or in any other. I hope to be there.
Okay, I will be very sure we have a glass of champagne and toast to that.
Okay, great. Thanks.
สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับขอบคุณมากครับ
ขอบคุณมากครับ